Alright, we're on lesson 36. This is multiplying and dividing integers and multiplying and dividing terms. Okay, so the first thing we need to know are the multiplication and division rules, and they're the same for both operations. Okay, so the multiplying rules are the same as the dividing rules. So these ones over here, multiplying, are the same as these dividing ones over here. So positive times positives equal positive numbers, and just like that, positives divided by negatives give me positives. Okay, if I take two negatives and multiply them together, that will give me a positive. If I take two negatives and divide them, that will give me a positive. If the signs are opposites, so I've got one positive and one negative, it doesn't matter what order they're in here. We got one positive, one negative up here, one negative, one positive down here. You're going to get a negative answer when you multiply them. And the same thing goes when you divide them. I've got one positive and one negative, or one negative and one positive. If I divide those kind of numbers, I'm going to get a negative answer. Okay, so make sure you know these rules and understand. If I have the same signs when I multiply or divide, I get a positive answer. If I have different signs when I multiply or divide, I get a negative answer. Alright, let's move on to some examples. Okay, objective 1 is to multiply and divide integers. So we're going to start with letter A. I want to take negative 10 times negative 5. Remember, when we got numbers and they're separated by nothing, okay, no operation here, there's no plus, minus, multiply, or divide signs, and that means to multiply them. So negative 10 times negative 5. I'm going to take those numbers 10 and 5 and multiply them together. Well, 10 times 5 is 50. And a negative times a negative is a positive, so it's positive 50. Alright, for B, I'm taking positive 10 times negative 5. Well, I multiply the numbers. 10 times 5 is 50. And then a positive times a negative, they're different signs, so I get a negative answer. Negative 50. Okay, part C. Negative 10 divided by negative 5. I'm going to divide the numbers. 10 divided by 5 is 2. And a negative divided by a negative, same sign, gives me a positive answer. And then for D, 10 divided by negative 5. Well, again, 10 divided by 5 is 2. This time they're different signs. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. So again, same signs give me a positive answer, different signs give me a negative answer when we're talking about multiplying and dividing. Alright, let's move on to more examples. Okay, this says every month $25 is automatically deducted from Newton's checking account to pay for his internet service. Write an expression using integers that shows the effect on Newton's account for 6 months of charges. Okay, well, they want to know how much money is he going to owe for 6 months of his internet service. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the number of months and we're going to multiply that by the amount deducted every month. Okay? Well, the number of months is 6 times, and then the amount deducted. Deducted indicates it's negative. We're taking money away. So we're going to take 6 times negative, and the amount deducted every month is 25. So what this means is he's losing $25 every month because it's getting taken out of his account. Well, I'm going to take the numbers 25 times 6 and multiply them together and get 150. And then a positive times a negative is a negative. So this is the expression using integers that shows the effect of on his account. Okay? This is what this means, is that he loses $150. Okay? So here's the number that we get. This is the expression in integers, negative 150, and this is what it means. He loses $150. Okay? They have to take out $150 out of his account. Alright, let's keep going on. Okay, example 3 says to simplify, we're going to take negative 1 to the 5th power first. So if I want to simplify negative 1 to the 5th power, okay, that means I'm going to take negative 1 times itself 5 times. So I'm going to take negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1. Okay, well, negative 1 times negative 1, 1 times 1 is 1, and a negative times negative is a positive. Then I'm going to take positive 1 times negative 1. Again, 1 times 1 is 1, and a positive times a negative is a negative. Then we multiply these two. Negative 1 times negative 1. 1 times 1 is 1, and a negative times a negative is a positive. Then I got to multiply these two, and 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. So negative 1 to the 5th power is negative 1. Negative 1 times itself 5 times is negative 1. Okay, now let's do B. This is negative 1 to the 6th power. We're going to tackle this problem the same way. This means negative 1 times itself 6 times. Well, we just did this. Negative 1 times negative 1 is 1. Then multiply these two. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Then multiply those two. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. And multiply those two. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. And I'm going to multiply the last two. Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1. Okay, so negative 1 to the 6th power is positive 1. Well, notice what happened here. Okay, if I take a negative number and I have an odd exponent, so like 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, something like that, my answer is always going to be negative. Okay, if I'm taking a negative number and raising it to a power that's an odd number, I'm going to get a negative answer, always. And the reason for that is because at some point you're going to have a positive times a negative, and that's always a negative. If I take a negative number like negative 1 and raise it to an even number, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, something like that, I'm going to get a positive answer. Okay, because what's going to happen is if you would work this all the way down like we did, at the end you're going to get negative 1 times negative 1, okay, or negative times a negative, and that's always a positive. Alright, but there's all the work for it. Alright, let's move on to another example.